Happy Friday, and welcome to a different type of video. So, yeah, it's nice to actually upload a video when I'm supposed to. I like to try uploading a video every Friday, but I think it's been 3 weeks in a row. I was a little late, got it out on Saturday, but anyway, most of my videos have all been on retro video games, but this time I decided to do something different. One thing I like as much, if not more than video games, is going on cruises. I've only been on 3 so far, but I'm hoping that number rises quite a bit over the years, so I just thought maybe I'd take some time out to do a different type of video. This one's going to be showing my experiences on the cruises. So every time I go on a cruise, I take like 300 pictures and I upload them on Facebook. Now I'm not going to go through all 900 pictures I've taken on my 3 cruises, but I went and pulled out some of the good pictures that I liked, and I'll just kind of explain kind of the different experiences I had going on a cruise. Maybe there's some people out there who are thinking about going on a cruise, not sure if they want to yet or not, and they might want to know some more information about it. So you can go ahead and check out the video and then leave any questions that I might forget to answer, and I'll go ahead and get back to you. And maybe you've been on a lot of cruises before. You can go ahead and offer tips and advice if you want to in the comment section, but I just felt like doing something different for a change. So my first cruise was on the Carnival Glory. This was in 2015. So I was talking to my friend Lindsay, and yeah, so this was the summer of 2014. Her and I were talking, and we're both talking about, different places we've been and gone, and we both agreed that we've always liked to go on a cruise. Neither of us had been on one, so I told her, well, let's go on a cruise. So I went to the travel agency, talked to them, and they set everything up for me. So it would be a 7-day cruise in January of 2015. And it would leave on a Saturday. The ship would leave on a Saturday and arrive the following Saturday. But now we live in the Midwest. I lived in Iowa. She was living in Minnesota at the time. So what we'd have to do is travel to Chicago, which is about a 4-hour drive. And then we'd spend the night at a hotel there, fly out, and then spend the night in Florida at a hotel, and then the next day, Saturday, we'd board the ship. So here's the start where we were driving to Chicago. Now I had 2 vehicles at the time. I had a 1997 Firebird and a 1979 Silverado, and neither of my vehicles were really that reliable. I didn't trust driving them on the highway, so Lindsay decided to ask her sister if she could take her car, and she agreed. So she drove up from Minnesota, and then together we drove to Chicago. I wanted to leave at like 3 p.m. To get there early enough, but by the time we decided to stop at the travel agency and all that and go over all the plans and all that again. So by the time we actually left, it was 5 p.m. So here we are getting to Chicago. That's the Belvedere Oasis, which I love stopping at that place because it always brings back memories. Back when I was a kid, my dad used to take me to Chicago White Sox games, and we often used to stop there. I'll kind of go ahead and show it. Here we got a map. This is Google Maps. So right outside of Rockford, you got Belvedere. Here's Interstate 90. And see, no matter what direction you're coming from, there's like gas station here on both sides. You got truck stop where semis can park, and they also got parking spots where you can go inside. They got like fast food restaurants inside. They got gift shops, and it's really cool because you just kind of sit there and watch traffic flow underneath you. Yeah, they got a McDonald's in there, Subway, Panera Bread, they got all those. So there we are, getting towards our hotel. I can't remember what hotel we stayed at. Okay, here's the next morning. So this is Friday morning. So we left on Thursday, January 15th. And this is Friday morning, January 16th. My first time ever on a flight. I'd never flown before this. So that was kind of a exciting experience I was looking forward to. And since Lindsay had been on flights before, she let me get a window seat, so I got to sit next to the window and take pictures. Unfortunately, I sat right at the wing, so I couldn't see directly below me. Here we are leaving Chicago. So after Chicago, we stopped in St. Louis to pick up more passengers and then flew towards Fort Lauderdale. And you know what's kind of cool is I found that picture on Google Maps as well. Wait a minute. Okay, right here, the Coral Ridge Country Club. That's what we see right here. So anyway, we had to fly out over the ocean, turn around, and land. And after we landed at the airport, we took a shuttle ride from Fort Lauderdale to Miami, which I don't think was more than 20 or 30 minutes drive. And we really didn't do much in Miami. I mean, you're a guy and girl, 38 years old, you don't know how safe it is to walk around. So we just kind of stayed at the hotel most of the time. We did walk down to a Burger King, which is just a few blocks down the street. Got something to eat and came back, but we spent most of the night just in the room watching TV. And one thing I remember about the next morning is it seemed like we had already had like this long vacation, because there was the drive to Chicago, spending the night at the hotel, there was the flight, which is probably about a 2-hour flight, and then spending all day in Florida, Miami, Florida, and it just seemed like a really long vacation already, and we haven't even boarded the cruise ship yet. So that was pretty exciting. That they say time flies when you're having fun, but I mean, we were having a lot of fun, but time was actually going slow, which was always a plus. And here's January 17th aboard the Carnival Glory. So I should have put a picture in there of the cruise terminal, discuss that a little bit, because there was quite a wait at the terminal, and I remember reading some online things about going on cruises, and some people complained about the long wait sitting at cruise terminals. And I mean, yeah, there is a wait, maybe an hour, maybe, I can't remember exactly how long of a wait it was, but the excitement of going on the cruise is definitely worth the wait, in my opinion. So yeah, first we had to sit there and wait for them to call our number, and then when they called the number, all of us that had that number got in line. And so then we had to do some more waiting in line. But once you get up to the counter, what they do is they link your either a debit card or credit card to your cabin card, because on board the Carnival Glory you got a card, it's kind of like a hotel room card. That's what they had in the Carnival Glory, or I guess Carnival ships in general. So they link that, so anything you buy on the ship you use your card for. Now the food on the ship is all included. You don't have to pay for any of the food. But drinks, you can either get a drink package, or you can just not get a drink package and buy them individually. I guess it depends on how much you drink. Like pop, for example, or soda, whatever you want to call it. I think that was $9 a day, alcohol was like $50 a day, so I mean, I guess it depends on how much you actually drink per day. I mean, I don't drink, back at the time I drank Mountain Dew and Sprite, but nowhere near $9 a day worth, so I decided not to get it. But now, beverages that are free, water, coffee, orange juice, lemonade, apple juice, like grapefruit juice, prune juice, pretty much all the fruit juices are all free. And water and coffee, of course, so I mean, it's not like you're going to go thirsty if you don't get the drink package. But, you know, I've never really much of an alcohol drinker. So, I mean, if it was free, I'd probably go ahead and try it, but the food was the important thing, as long as that's all included. There's a picture of the sliding board. So the Carnival Glory holds 4,000 people. There's 3,000 passengers and 1,000 crew members. I had to blur out faces in these pictures because I'm not sure what the copyrights are and all that for YouTube. I don't want someone to complain that, hey, that's my uncle there. They don't want to be seen on camera or something. But yeah, they had a blue sliding board, or turquoise, and I wanted to go down the sliding board all cruise, but I don't really like doing swimming pools. For some reason, my legs just get really cold in the water. I can do hot tubs no problem, but swimming pools are cool. So finally, the last day, I did go down the sliding board, but it was nothing special. Maybe I was too light, but I got stuck towards the end. So I only weighed like, right now I weigh about 140 pounds. I was probably like 130 at the time. But yeah, I got stuck at the end. I had to kind of push myself the rest of the way. So this is our cabin on deck 2. The cabins are pretty small. And this window here does not open, because on deck 2, if you were to open a window, the water would splash in, so you can't open windows on deck 2. Oh, by the way, I guess I should go over the pricing too. So I paid $2,600 for the two of us. That included the cruise, the flights, the hotels, so, and plus insurance. If you're going to go on a cruise, you probably want to get the insurance, just in case your flight's delayed or something and you can't board the ship. At least you get fully refunded. But now, if you're going to go on a cruise and you book it and you pay it, you can't just decide, you know, hey, I decided not to go. You don't get your money back for that. So I think there's only certain circumstances, like let's say it's something beyond your control, or if someone dies in the family, like a close relative, then I think you can cancel. But I can't be 100% sure. That's something you might want to talk to a travel agent about if you're going on a cruise. Some people go on cruises by themselves, they book it all themselves. I know if I tried that, I'd screw something up, so I go through a travel agent, let them do everything, and they'll kind of ask you what you want to do. And there's the safe in our room. The one thing that's really annoying about the safe on the Carnival ships, at least on the Carnival Glory, I don't know if every ship has the exact same type of safe, but you lock it with your key card. You can only unlock it with that same card. So, like, let's say you got a family there on board, you lock the safe, your spouse or kids or whoever can't unlock it with their card. It has to be whatever card locked it, only that card can unlock it. See, then someone else can put something in the safe and lock it with their card, but then only their card can unlock it. So the card that locks it is the only card that will unlock it next. And that was kind of annoying, because Lindsay and I each had our own card. So I mean, I guess it wasn't that bad, because I mean, we pretty much spent the whole time together. So I mean, it's not like one of us was hanging out in the cabin all day while the other one was out. But it's just something that's kind of a minor inconvenience. I also want to show us a different picture here too. A topographical look at the Carnival Glory on Google Maps. I found this picture a few years back. So when we exited, this is the front of the ship up here, when we first boarded the ship, we came out on deck 10 right here. So this is deck 10, but then down here the main swimming pool is deck 9. Deck 9 goes up to deck 10. These are kind of like movie theater seats. They kind of go start on deck 9 and go up to deck 10. There's a better picture we'll see of it in a little bit, but yeah, we came out here and came walking on deck 10, and that was so cool, just seeing that huge jumbo screen. You got 2 hot tubs right here, and here's another swimming pool. This is the one where you go down the slide and get off into this pool. And then, so this is deck 10 right here. You got a deck 11, which is like a running track. You can walk or run. There's this one guy that pretty much ran the whole time. We always saw him because Lindsay and I pretty much hung out right around here on deck 10. But you got a basketball court here. This here, I guess you can play tennis or volleyball. And you got a miniature golf course right here, which is pretty cool, right around the fin. And then down here, this again, you got deck 10 overlooks down on deck 9. And you got 2 more hot tubs right here and a swimming pool right there. There's, okay, now the food, you got a taco stand over here on deck 9. You got a burger stand over here on deck 9. And then inside the doors, right in the middle, there's some doors that lead to the elevator. It's like a little elevator bay or lobby. But if you go in the doors on this side or this side, there's buffets from here all the way back. I mean, nothing but buffets. So anytime you're hungry, you know, any time of the day, well, they do open at a certain time, I think like 6 a.m. I think they close at like 9 p.m. But I mean, between that time, you can just go to eat anytime, which is pretty cool. Just random times during the day. There's also restaurants on board. There's a Golden restaurant on the Carnival Glory, and there's also the Platinum restaurant. Now on the first cruise, we didn't even go to the restaurants until towards the end of the cruise. We went to the Golden restaurant on that Thursday. So we just kept going to the buffets, and we finally ran into this guy named James who we kind of became friends with on the cruise. And he suggested going to the Golden restaurant, so we went there and got lasagna. And that's the one night I did buy a drink. I bought wine. First time I ever drank wine in my life. It cost $16 for a glass of wine. But you know, it was just like a one-time thing. And then up front here you got, this is called the Serenity area. You need to be 21 years old to get up here, and there's 2 more hot tubs here. See, first I was going to these hot tubs, and I can't remember if we went to the rear ones or not on this cruise, but do you know anything about this one? Is you got a bunch of kids splashing in there sometimes. It gets kind of annoying, so then we started going to these ones here. Okay, back to the tour. I decided to do a silhouette of us. I had long hair at the time. There I am playing miniature golf. One of the most annoying things about a cruise ship, if you have long hair, is your hair is constantly blowing in the wind. So I'd highly recommend. One thing I really liked is I got braids towards the end of the cruise, and it really helped. There's a look at Miami. There's a look from the elevator from deck 5 down onto deck 3. Glass elevators. There's a casino on deck 5. So yeah, there's a lot on board a cruise ship. Here's where pretty much all the entertainment is, so especially when you first board the ship. So here's what I was talking about. You got deck 9 down here. You got the main swimming pool, the hot tubs, and the seats go up like a movie theater. And you got this jumbo screen TV right here. So this is deck 10 up here. This is deck 9 down here. This would be deck 11, the running track, and I guess this is deck 12. It's got like the basketball court and tennis court up there. But yeah, we had the entertainment director, Dr. E, was kind of hosting us to the ship. Or introducing us, I guess. Oh, one thing I want to add too, when you board a cruise ship, now what you do is you leave your luggage at the terminal. You put a tag on it that's got your name and your room number on it, your cabin number. And what they do is they deliver it to your room, but you don't know when they're going to deliver it. It might be an hour. In our case, my first cruise, it took like 6 hours for them to deliver our luggage. So if you have anything that you're going to want right away, like let's say a camera, or you might have medication you have to take, I suggest keeping it in a carry-on bag, because you don't know when you're going to get your luggage delivered. Here's the EA Sports Bar on deck 5. I had to take a picture of that because I was always a fan of EA Sports games. I liked the NHL games when I was a teenager going into my adult years. I guess I still do like EA Sports hockey games. I did quite a few EA Sports hockey games on my YouTube channel. There's the dive-in movie theater, so yeah, the jumbo screen above the pool, they play movies in the daytime and nighttime. That was probably my favorite part of the cruise, is laying out on deck 10 watching movies. Oh, another question people might have, if you're a smoker, there are certain sections on the ship you can smoke, like on deck 10 there's like a little area under here you can't see because there's like a balcony covering it. But then inside the casinos too, you cannot smoke in the cabins though. If you get a cabin with the balcony, you're not allowed to smoke out on the balcony. They don't want to risk any fires, so you want to be in a widely supervised area where they can catch anything, like any flames that might start. There's some bacon and coffee, which really wasn't that good, but I mean, hey, it's free, kind of. I mean, it's already paid for. It's included in the price. So here we are Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon watching the NFC Championship, the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks. Later that night, I was watching the Indianapolis Colts and the New England Patriots in the AFC playoffs. So you got the swimming pool. This is the main swimming pool right here. You can watch TV from the pool or the two hot tubs. I was actually in the hot tub right here when I took this picture. Here's our first stop. So yeah, the cruise ships usually make stops at different countries. This here is Cozumel, Mexico, Monday morning. And what the ship will do is it'll stop, dock, and you can get off. I would recommend not getting off right when it docks because you're going to have a lot of people getting off at the same time. Usually what I'll do is wait an hour or two. But the ship docks for like maybe 8 to 10 hours, maybe even longer in some cases. You can get off the ship, you can explore, you can take pictures, go to the gift shops, buy souvenirs. You can also do excursions. So there are different types of excursions you could do. There are ship-sponsored excursions where you actually book the excursions on the ship. You pay for it, and they'll give you like a bracelet. And for a ship-sponsored excursion, like let's say the shuttle bus breaks down when you're on your way, and it's going to take a while to repair, the ship will wait for you because it is a ship-sponsored excursion. They're responsible for your safety. Now if you go off on your own and do excursions, you might find some cheaper ones, but if you're late getting back, you're on your own. You're going to have to go to the airport and buy a flight back home. Excursions can be kind of pricey. I think a majority of them were like $100, and I didn't really take much spending money. Actually, I didn't take any spending money. The only money I had was in whatever was in my checking account from my last paycheck, which is probably like $1,000 or less. So there's a look at Cozumel. We just decided to get off the ship, kind of look around, check out some souvenirs. You know, I mean, I was planning to spend a little money, but not enough to do an excursion. There's some ceramic things, like skulls. Thought this looked really cool. Puerto Maya, that's a part of Cozumel, Mexico. Not sure exactly what that means. So Lindsay wanted to lay out on a beach, but unfortunately that's an excursion that costs money. So we just kind of walked by a beach and took a picture. I've never been much of a beach person. The way I saw it, we were laying out on the ship the whole time, out in the sun, so the beach wouldn't be that much different for me. Had a taco at the taco stand. A big old chunk of watermelon. Fun Times magazine. Okay, so I'm trying to snack here while I'm recording. So when you're on a cruise, you'll have the cruise stewards come in your room and make your bed and everything, clean up. And they always seem to know when you're out of your room because that's when they show up and do it. They also leave a Fun Times magazine sitting there, and with the Fun Times magazine, it's got a listing of every event going on the ship, because there are events going on like all day long, 6 a.m., 6:30, 7 o'clock, so it's got a listing of all these events, you know, like let's say Comedy Club in the the Amber Palace Theater, Deck 3, you know, and it's got like all these events, where they're at, what time they're at, so it's kind of cool. There's a lot going on the ship. Now, Lindsay and I never even went to any of these events. I don't know why. We just pretty much spent our whole time laying out on Deck 10. We went to the hot tubs quite a bit. And Lindsay got in the swimming pool. Like I said, I don't really care for pools. But other than that, we went to eat every now and then. There's a picture of the hot tub. One of them. This is the Amber Palace Theater. You got Deck 3, Deck 4, and Deck 5 that it covers. So they got different events going on there. They might have like a play or a stand-up comic. This is a cool little section on Deck 3. Got the lifeboats. I just thought this was funny. Lindsay's all dressed for the weather. I'm wearing combat boots and jeans, laying out on Deck 10. So that would become kind of a tradition on my cruises, to start getting pictures of my boots and jeans. Our second stop was in Belize, and let's actually kind of look at. So we left Miami, we went around Cuba. We could actually see Cuba from the ship, which was kind of cool. And then we stopped down here in Cozumel, Mexico. It's weird for this huge patch of land that the only city is like right here. And then our second stop was in Belize. So now, stopping at Belize, we couldn't dock like right up. We couldn't park up here and dock because the water's too shallow. So the ship had to stop out here, and there are shuttle, like little shuttle boats, speed boats that drive back and forth, the cruise ship to there. See if I can find it. This might be it right here, I'm not sure. But anyway, we didn't spend a whole lot of time there. There really didn't seem to be a whole lot to see. Just kind of walked around, checked out some shops. From what I heard, Belize was a third world country not long ago. So, I mean, they have made a lot of progress, but didn't look as good as some of these other countries. Like this one, Mahogany Bay. There's a partially sunken ship, and what's really cool is here we go. Right here's the partially sunken ship. And what's cool is you can actually drop in on these areas and look. Look around. Here's what's really cool is here's where all the cruise ships dock. So there are actually people who took pictures on a cruise ship. So right, this is a Carnival ship right here. You can tell by the fin. I'm not sure which ship it is. So there are multiple cruise lines, by the way. There's Carnival. Some of the popular ones are Carnival, Princess, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian. Then there's other ones like Crystal Cruise Lines. You got Virgin. You've got Viking. I mean, there's probably dozens of cruise lines, and each cruise line has multiple cruise ships. I believe Carnival has like 26, maybe more than that now. So I mean, there are just hundreds of cruise ships. There's that partially sunken ship. Oh, right here, the Carnival Breeze. So that's what that ship is. Anytime you see the orange thing, like the lifesaver thing, that's when you can tell what the ship is. I believe this is a Disney cruise ship right here. That's another cruise line I forgot to mention, Disney Cruise Lines, but I hear Disney Cruise Lines is like 3 times more expensive than the average. But I also heard that if you just want to go on a cruise, I wouldn't go on Disney unless you're a huge Disney fan, because that's what makes it worth the money, is it's like all Disney themed. I mean, sure, I like Disney, but not enough to pay 3 times the amount. Now, if it was a Nintendo cruise line, if Nintendo had their own cruise line, I'd probably pay the extra money for that. But you know what's really cool is my ex-girlfriend Shanae went on a cruise. That's pretty much what got me whole started on wanting to go on a cruise. So my first girlfriend, Shanae, I dated her back like 20 years ago. And even after we broke up, we remained friends, kept in contact through the internet. And she got married in 2006, and her husband got married in the Bahamas, and they went on a cruise. So, you know, after seeing her picture she posted on Facebook, I thought it looked really cool. I always wanted to go on a cruise, so that's where I got the whole idea. But anyway, she ended up going on a cruise shortly after I went on this one, because she goes on cruises regularly, and it was kind of cool looking at her pictures, and she posted this picture of the exact same sunken ship that I had a picture of. It's kind of weird going through pictures and suddenly seeing something you recognize. And there's some of the natives in Mahogany Bay playing drums. What's really weird here is in the tourism area where you got like all the gift shops and that. Most of these tourism areas, like the gift shops, they kind of remind you of like a carnival or fair, you know, where you got all the tents, game tents, and you got all the carnies that want you to come and play the games. That's kind of what it feels like going to these places, except for instead of playing games, they have shops where they're trying to sell you stuff. And I thought that was really annoying in Cozumel, Mexico. You got all these salesmen bugging you to come in and check out their shop and stuff. It's like once you've seen one, you've seen them all. No, I'll tell you, I got a special deal just for you. So, yeah, that was real annoying. But Mahogany Bay, they weren't too bad. They weren't annoying. But what I found really weird was the security guards down there. Unlike the ones you see in North America, where they're wearing like a, you know, like a security uniform, badge, handgun. Down there, they're wearing camouflage and they're carrying machine guns like crazy. It looks like they're ready to go to war, but they're real friendly guards though. They'll let you take your picture with them. There's a bunch of wooden monkey heads I found really weird, so I took a picture of that. In these countries, you'll find items that you don't see in normal stores. Like if you're from North America like me, you don't see this kind of stuff in a store around here. Got some weird items. Okay, this is what I really found interesting. So, there was a lot of culture on the ship. So, I mean, the most culture I see in Iowa, you know, you got white people and black people, and then there's, you know, a few Mexican and Marshall Islands people. But on the cruise ship had pretty much, you know, white people and black people, which I'm used to seeing. But what I found really weird was there was a lot of white people speaking a foreign language. So I don't know if they were maybe German or French or something, but you know, when you live in the Midwest of North America, usually when you hear someone speaking foreign language, it's, you know, they're speaking Spanish. It might be like Mexicans or Marshall Islands people. But I mean, so it was just kind of weird for me seeing white people, you know, a large group of white people speaking different languages. But another thing I found really interesting is the Japanese culture. I've always had a real interest in Japan and the Japanese culture for many years. And one thing I found really interesting is when they go to breakfast together, they go as a huge group. They're probably like 30, 40, or 50 of them all going to breakfast together, all coming into the buffet together. And they'll sit down together as a big group and eat, and they're really quiet when they eat. They don't talk like Americans do. So I found that really interesting. And then one time for dinner, now dinner I don't think they eat as big groups. I think they just go as, you know, families, because Lindsay and I were sitting in a buffet when there's this Japanese couple who they're probably in their 50s maybe, and the wife was trying to take a picture of her and her husband together. We could tell she was struggling, so Lindsay asked her, you know, you want me to take a picture? And the lady said yeah, so Lindsay took her camera, the lady's camera, and got a couple snaps of them. The lady was so appreciative that she went and took this out of her pocketbook, this piece of paper, and folded it into a bird to give to her. I thought that was really cool. I've seen a couple videos that have Japanese culture in them, and one was the Tom Green Subway Monkey Hour, so I got to see some there. Another one was the Marilyn Manson Diaries on VH1, which showed like a week of Manson's life, and within that week he was going to Japan to promote his Hollywood album, and got to see some Japanese culture there. And Manson mentioned that his fans in Japan, what they like to do is give him artistic type stuff, you know, something to remember him by. So I think that's really cool. I mean, you could always thank someone by giving them like $5 or $10, but in Japan they want to do something that's more personal, like make them something like this. I just thought that was really cool. And I'd like to visit Japan sometime, spend a couple weeks there. Here's Slice Pizza, which is on deck 9 in the back. Pizza's fairly good. You can buy pizzas by the slice, but I think you can also buy a whole pizza. There's me in Costa, Mexico. I didn't bother blurring out these guys' faces because, you know, they greet people. I'm sure they're used to it. But I made the mistake of wearing a Batman shirt there, and all those salesmen were trying to sell me Batman earrings and pennants and sunglasses, and it's like, I'm not really a big Batman fan. At this point in my life, I had never seen a Batman movie. The only reason I bought the shirt was because I had a couple Batman games on the NES. There's one of the excursions, swimming with the dolphins. We had to stay outside the rope and watch because we decided not to do any excursions. There's just another look at a group of people. Kind of just roaming around looking. So here's Friday. This is just a day at sea, no stops. Traveling. There's the entertainment director, Dr. E, kind of getting the party going, you know, getting some music going and get people up dancing and everything. And here's Saturday morning, arriving back at Miami. What was really weird was every single day throughout the cruise I slept so good. The beds are so comfortable on cruise ships. Maybe it has something to do with being on the water, but every single day I slept in until it was light out, except for the very last day I woke up early, looked out my window and saw the city lights of Miami in the distance. So yeah, I got out of bed, went up to deck 10 and got some pictures. Here's another look at Miami. And then we went back to the airport. We ended up getting there like, I think it was 7 hours early. So it was a really long wait. I guess it's better to be early than late. And then, despite being so early, we were like the last two to get on the plane. We could not find two seats next to each other, so I got stuck sitting between two guys I didn't know. I ended up taking a nap on the flight home. And this is what it looked like in Iowa the next day. Yeah, when we were in Cozumel, Mexico, it was 95 degrees down there. Meanwhile, Iowa in January, snow. That was just a small snowstorm. There's sometimes we might get up to like 5 to 8 inches of snow in one day. That's my truck right there. So yeah, I had the Firebird for 12 years. I bought the Firebird back in 2000, or no, 2001. I bought it, and I drove it for 12 years, and that thing was just terrible in the snow. So it was finally in 2013 I bought this truck, and I only drive it during the winter, but 33-inch tires. 4-wheel drive. That thing does not get stuck in anything. It's solid metal. It's completely rebuilt too. It's got a 79 frame and 84 body. The engine's actually out of a Camaro. Okay, so that was my first cruise. Second cruise. Okay, so my ex-girlfriend, Shanae, was in town and she's having a birthday party for her daughter, her oldest daughter. By this point she had 3 daughters, but her oldest daughter, Angela, was 14 years old, having a birthday party. So Shanae invited me to it, and she also invited her friend Gail. And while we were there, she asked if we wanted to go on a cruise with her. She said she's going on a cruise in October of 2019. Now when she was telling this was in March of 2018, so it was like a year and a half away yet. So I thought, you know, sure, why not? I'll go on a cruise. You know, it's a year and a half away. I got plenty of time to save up money in PTO. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. But then I got to thinking about it. Well, first of all, I went to the travel agency, told the travel agent, hey, I want to go on this cruise here. It leaves on October 20th, 2019 from New Orleans, and the travel agent looked it up for me and said, okay, here's the ship. It's the Carnival Glory, the same ship I was on my last cruise, my only cruise before this time. So it's kind of crazy coincidence. Out of like 26 Carnival ships, it just happens to be the same one. So by this time Carnival moved, or I should say the Glory moved. It used to be docked in Miami, now it was docked in New Orleans. By the way, I guess I forgot to mention, when we left, okay, so down in Miami, the cruise ships are all right here on Dodge Island. And there's a lot of cruise terminals around here. This right here is a Carnival ship, not sure which one though. Oh, wait, no, this is Disney. Yeah, you can see the Mickey Mouse head on the side. I just saw the red thing and I assumed it was Carnival. Oh, this is a picture taken in someone's cabin. I don't want to get too close to anyone's face that might not want to be seen. Wow, there's a lot of spots in here. What ship is this? This is a Carnival ship, I think. Maybe not. Oh yeah, it is. I just never seen a Carnival ship. Well, I guess I've only been on one Carnival ship, but I didn't realize any of them had swimming pools on the sides there. They usually got them in the middle. Or at least, I guess the only Carnival ship I've been on had them in the middle. I guess I'm just assuming most of them are like the Carnival Glory. But anyway, yeah, that's where our cruise port was. So anyway, by the time the cruise is coming up, Shanae was living in Tennessee, so I'm thinking I don't want to travel from Iowa to New Orleans by myself, so I started asking some of my coworkers if they wanted to go, and finally my buddy Neil said yeah, he'll go. You know, Neil's a few years older than me. Let's see, at this time I would have been 42 years old. Neil was 45. And Neil also asked his friend Mike if he wanted to go along, because Neil and Mike are both, you know, single guys. They don't have any kids. They got, you know, free time outside of work, so they go on vacations together and have some fun. So, and Neil told me that the one thing they've talked about doing sometime is going on a cruise, and here we had an opportunity because I'm going on one, so it's perfect timing. So here we are driving to Chicago. Now by this point I had 3 cars. I still had my Firebird, my truck, but I also had a Sunfire. And you know, the Sunfire was at 2002, or maybe it was 2001. But you know, I had 3 unreliable vehicles. So Neil agreed to drive. As I guess we pretty much all know, if we would have taken one of my cars, we probably would have been pushing it most of the way. So Yeah, here we stopped at the Oasis, Belvedere Oasis. Got a bite to eat. Sears Tower, now known as the Willis Tower. I still call it the Sears Tower. It's something I always like to get a picture of when going to Chicago, like all the White Sox games I've been to. I've also been to 2 Packer Bear games in Chicago with my friend Shayna. That was back in '99 and 2000. And then in 2009 I went to a Chicago Blackhawks game with my friend Freddie. And my friend Shane and I also went to a couple Jenny Jones tapings. She was a big fan of the Jenny Jones show. There was one time her and I just went down there to hang out, just had nothing to do, but you know, let's just go to Chicago. Drive 4 hours, road trip, hang out. We went to the Navy Pier, we went on a tour of the Sears Tower, so I always loved going to Chicago. You got the Hancock Building over here. And every time you get to Chicago, the first building you see out of these two is always the Hancock Building, and people always think it's the Sears Tower. Another time I went to Chicago was when I was going to college. Went on a bus trip to a car show. I took auto mechanic classes, and I saw the Hancock Building. I knew right away someone was going to think it was the Sears Tower, and sure enough, one of the teachers sitting in the seat behind me said, "Oh, there's the Sears Tower." I had to turn around and tell him, "No, that's the Hancock Building." And shortly after that, you end up seeing the Sears Tower. There's our hotel. Now, I actually know where our hotels are on Google Maps this time. So here's the Midway Airport. I forgot to mention that there are 2 airports in Chicago. There's the O'Hare Airport and then there's the Midway. O'Hare is huge. Midway is much smaller. Midway's the one we flew out of last time and came back to. It's also the one we'd be leaving from this time. So this cruise actually left on a Sunday, October 20th. And we'll be returning the following Sunday. Which I kind of like better, just feels better leaving on a Sunday and getting back on a Sunday. So we stayed at this one right here, Holiday Inn. Not a bad hotel, kind of, you know, okay. We're on the 5th story. I think we were in one of these rooms here, maybe. I know it was on the front, it was on the 5th floor. And then we went down to Coach's Sports Bar and Grill to get dinner. And then we decided to go for a walk. Some people might think it's dangerous to walk around the south side of Chicago, but we pretty much just stayed within this square right here. You got all these hotels, you got restaurants, you know, you got all these families going in and out, so it was a pretty safe area to hang out in. But I mean, now you go walking around these neighborhoods, might be a little more dangerous, might run into gangs or something, but yeah, we're pretty safe right there. Here's the next morning. So yeah, we left on Friday, October 18th. This is Saturday, October 19th. Got a picture of the lights at the Midway Airport. Oh, by the way, when going on these cruises, we get free parking at the hotel, so we just leave our car right there at the hotel, and then we return the following week. That's kind of part of the deal the travel agent set up for us, both on the previous cruise and this cruise. So here we are in New Orleans. Yeah, when we got on board the ship, we could not find, or on board the plane, we could not find 3 seats together. So that's one thing about Southwest Airlines is they don't have assigned seating. You just get on board and pick a seat that's open. So couldn't find 3 seats together, so I went to zap with these 2 girls. Here we are getting a ride from Lyft. See, Neil's an Uber driver too, so he knows how to use all that stuff, Uber and Lyft. So I probably would have been lost trying to get a hold of a taxi company if I was by myself. But here we are getting a ride to our hotel. That's a New Orleans Saints Stadium right there. Superdome. There's the Holiday Inn on Loyola Avenue. So let's go down to New Orleans. There's the Dome Stadium right there. And our hotel is right here, the Holiday Inn. So we were on the 10th floor on this one. We had a balcony, which was pretty cool. Oh, by the way, so this time on this cruise we decided to get a suite, you know, because of 3 guys, be a little crowded in just regular cabins, so we decided to get a suite. And that came to about $1,800 each that we paid for, including the flights, you know, the cruise, the insurance and all that. Gratuities too is something it's best to pay that up front, which is the tips, so that way you don't have to worry about leaving too many tips on the cruise ship. It's all taken care of with gratuities. So then we went walking around New Orleans, and this is one thing I liked better about this cruise than the first one, was just that it felt safer, you know. I mean, you got 3 guys hanging out together, you can walk around, so you didn't have to really worry too much. Plus there's a lot of people walking around too, so, you know, a lot of families. You don't have to worry about any crime or anything. There's the Mississippi River. So yeah, we stopped at first we stopped at a cafe called the Tackle Box, and I got some salmon there. It's the first time I ever ate salmon. It was pretty good. I liked it. And then we decided to go for a walk, so we kind of just walked all the way down here, out of the river. And we ended up walking all the way back. We actually went walking twice that day, so we walked all the way down to the river. We ended up walking all the way back. Later that evening we went walking again. Oh, this right here is the Hard Rock Hotel. So this was all over the news the week before I left. They were in the process of building this hotel when all of a sudden it collapsed. You know, the top roof up here collapsed. And I didn't realize it at the time, but there was actually a construction worker in there at this time. There were 2 construction workers that died in that building during that collapse, and they were stuck there until they demolished the building. I didn't realize that. I knew there were 2 workers that died in it. That was on the news, but yeah, it's kind of weird to think that there's actually a dead person in there right when I took that picture. But anyway, I watched a video on YouTube about the building, why it collapsed and all that. There was actually a video showing it collapse. It was taken from another building, and they said that some of the reasons are, one of them, the support beams were spaced too far apart. They should have been closer together. And another thing is the construction workers had all this concrete and machinery on these floors here that, you know, it was just too much weight. You know what's even kind of spookier is, I guess it's not spookier, but it's kind of weird feeling. But here is the actual building when it was during construction. So this picture was taken while the building was still, you know, being built. You can tell by the two cranes right here, those yellow things. Now if you go to the street view, this picture was taken in, see, it says 2022 right there. There's the building. That's what it looks like now. It's demolished. So yeah, they tore it down. Trying to see if I can see the hotel from here, because we really weren't that far from it. But yeah, there's a video on YouTube. Okay, I think our hotel's somewhere in this direction, because I remember we weren't too far from that building. I think I actually have a picture of this building in one of my upcoming pictures. Yeah, sometimes it's just fun to get on Google Maps and look at stuff. Oh, another weird thing was down there in New Orleans, I stopped at a Walgreens and someone whispered my name. I looked over and it was Shanae. I mean, it was crazy. Out of 250,000 people in New Orleans, her and I just ran into each other. I mean, even though we knew that we're going to be around that area, you know, around that same time. Because, I mean, I traveled with Neil and Mike. Shanae traveled with her friend Gail. But, I mean, just the coincidence that we would run into each other at the same time, same place, in a huge city like New Orleans is just crazy. So, yeah, we talked a little bit outside the store. So here we are going for our second walk later that night. Went to the shopping mall down there. Stopped at the Nordstrom Rack store. So if anyone complains that this video is not about video games, right there, I got a retro video game picture. World's largest Pac-Man. My friend Neil played, it's got Pac-Man in it, and it's also got Galaga, and Neil played Galaga, and it was really weird that out of the two of us, between me and him, well, there were three of us there, but between me and Neil, I'm the big video game fan who's got like 19 video game consoles and 361 games, and I don't think Neil even has a video game console, but it was weird that he was the one playing and I wasn't. But I guess that kind of makes sense though, thinking that I do that all the time at home anyway, play video games whenever I get a chance. Here we are at a Halloween parade. That's pretty cool. The parades down in New Orleans are huge compared to anything here in the Midwest. Here we are, Sunday morning, October 20th. This is pretty cool that it was Neil's birthday the day that we boarded the ship. There's the Carnival cruise terminal. You know what was really cool was that when we got to the terminal, we showed the lady our boarding passes, and she pointed out that it said priority in the corner. We were VIP. We didn't have to wait in line. They let us right in. I don't know why we got that. The only thing I can think of is because of the fact that we had a suite. But you know, it was kind of cool that we didn't have to wait. We just got right in. There I got a picture of the Carnival Glory from the terminal. And there we are on board. It was just such a weird feeling being back on board the ship that I was on just a few years ago. And I think I was actually more excited for Neil and Mike than I was for myself, because they're going to get to experience what I experienced my first cruise. This was the first cruise for them. and you know, I was really excited for them. But yeah, here's the elevator lobbies I mentioned earlier. I didn't really have a good picture of them before, but yeah, you got there and then down here on deck 9. Here's the Skybox Sports Bar. Now this used to be the EA Sports Bar. They made some renovations. I guess it's something they do often on cruise ships. Every year they paint the ships, and they might make some changes. Here we got some baseball, football, and basketball going on. And October 20th, hockey season would have been going on too, so I'm not sure if this baseball is actually, this might just be a commercial. Unless that team might have been in the World Series at the time too. I'm not sure how late the World Series runs anymore. It's been a while since I really followed sports that close. And we decided to go check out our cabin, our suite, which was on deck 7, and I was immediately disappointed when I walked in, because when I thought of a suite, I was thinking of like Titanic, you know, like big rooms, multiple rooms. You know, like in the scene where Jack and Rose are running away from Lovejoy and they got all these different rooms. That's kind of what I was expecting. I get in the suite and it's smaller than the hotel room we had in New Orleans, but that disappointment kind of faded when the more I thought about it. I mean, really, how much room are we going to spend, or how much time are we really going to spend in the cabin? We're just going to sleep there at night, and then most of the day we'll be out. But yeah, I took this bed, Neil slept in this bed, and Mike slept on the cot back there. So I don't like the fact that they put the beds so close together. I ended up pushing this table over and the bed over, but then the lamp cord was really stretched. That's another thing I should add. There's really not a whole lot of outlets in cruise cabins, so you might want to take a power strip if they have a lot of stuff to plug in. We had a balcony on our cruise ship. It was very small. I mean, from side to side, like the length of the room, it was kind of long, but from like the hull out, very short. I mean, you really didn't have any room to stretch your legs. Now, okay, so the cards. Now, on the first cruise, Lindsay and I both had a blue card. My second cruise, I had a red card, but Neil and Mike both had a blue card. I wasn't sure if it was just coincidence, or, you know, is it random that, you know, all first cruisers have a blue card, or, you know, how does that work? I ended up talking to some of the other passengers, and it turns out that you start with a blue card, and on your first week, you know, after your first week of cruising, you move up to a red card, and after a few weeks on the red card, you move up to, they got like gold and platinum and diamond, and the higher up you are on your level, the more benefits you'll get. So for example, having a red card, I ended up getting a gift certificate for 50% off anything in the jewelry store. I really didn't see anything I liked, so I didn't buy anything. Besides, most of the jewelry was like really expensive anyway. So even 50% off, it's like, yeah, don't want to pay that much. Because this was kind of the same situation as first cruise. The only money I had was what was left in my checking account. So I'm not really here to spend a lot. There's our room. So yeah, they made some changes to the slides. They got rid of the turquoise slide and put in a clear one and a yellow one. I didn't go on any of the slides this time. Well, you know what else was really weird was the ship was actually docked in the Mississippi River. This isn't the Glory right here though. This is the Carnival Triumph. So this picture, so the Glory was docked down there, I think in 2019 or 2018 was the first year it started docking down here. So I'm guessing this picture here must have been taken before then. It says down here imagery 2023, but I know that's not true. Because there are many things that are just off a little. Here's deck 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, deck 5 also has all the gift shops. It's also got an ATM machine. That's something I should bring up too, is on my first cruise now, when getting off the ship and going to these islands, if you're going to buy anything, you should probably use the ATM machine on the cruise ship. It's safe. On my first cruise, when Lindsay and I went to Costa, Mexico, I didn't take much money out, and I decided I wanted to buy myself a tropical shirt, and Lindsay wanted a dress. So, you know, it came to 80 bucks. I didn't have 80 bucks on me, and we really didn't feel like walking all the way back to the ship to use the ATM, so we thought, well, we'll just use their slide card machine here. Yeah, that turned out to be a mistake. 2 weeks later, I got a call from my bank that someone in Mexico was trying to withdraw $400 out of my checking account. Luckily, my bank shut them down because they thought it looked suspicious. But yeah, I still had to go like 2 weeks without a debit card. Anytime I needed money, which I use my debit card a lot. I'm talking like every single day, multiple times a day sometimes. Well, on work days, I guess I use it once at work to get coffee. Sometimes after work, I might stop and get like a Gatorade. But the weekends, I mean, I stop at the gas stations. I go to the grocery stores. That's when I do all my shopping. So yeah, for 2 weeks, no debit card. I had to stop at the bank after work every time I wanted to withdraw money. So yeah, that's one tip I can give you. If you're going to go on a cruise, you're in a foreign country, you don't have enough money on you, just walk back to the cruise ship. Use the ATM. It's much safer. Unless you have like a prepaid credit card that they're not going to be able to steal too much money from you, and you might be safe. Or I don't know, maybe if anyone else out there has any other tips or ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments. Okay, and here's an arcade kind of room that I don't remember seeing on my first cruise, but they might have added it since then. I remember at this point when we were walking, going back to the Skybox Sports Bar, the ship started tilting really hard because they were in the process of leaving. So the ship docks. When it leaves, it'll be like noon. Or no, wait, no, we board around noon. It's probably like 5 p.m. when the ship leaves the terminal. And when it docks, it gets back like probably 6, 7 in the morning. But it's not fully docked until like 9 because it takes some time. So they have only got like from 9 to 5 to drop off. Well, from 9 to noon, they drop off all the previous 3,000 passengers. They like clean the rooms, make the beds, restock the food, refuel, and everyone else. You get 3,000 more passengers coming on around noon. And I mean, that's the only time it's docked at its home port. So this picture was most likely taken on a Sunday at that time. Unless there might be a time, I think there might be like a month or so where the cruise ships remain docked for the whole month, getting like the renovations and paint and all that. That could have been this time too. But anyway, when the ship leaves, it takes a really hard turn around. So that's why this ship was really tilted. And we had to take this long journey down the Mississippi River, a real long winding journey. This was like a 7-hour trip just down the river because it's kind of narrow. And once I got down to here, I'm not sure which way it went, which exit it took. There's a ship in the muddy Mississippi River. Decided to get some pizza. Well, it looks like Neil and I got pizza. Mike got some ice cream. We're watching the Chicago Bears play against the New Orleans Saints. And it was kind of cool because we flew from Chicago to New Orleans. So the New Orleans Saints flew from New Orleans to Chicago. So who knows, we might have passed each other in the air. Us and the Saints football team. Guy's Burgers. I can't believe I didn't get a picture of this on the first cruise. These are the most amazing burgers I've ever had in my life. And what they'll do is they'll ask you if you want a cheeseburger or a hamburger, and you get to choose whether you want cheese on it or not. They'll serve you the burger with the top bun off. Then you take it to the toppings bar and you add all the toppings you want. You put bacon on there, tomato, lettuce, pickle, ketchup, mustard, horseradish sauce, anchovies, dog turds, you know, just whatever you want. Okay, they really don't have dog turds, and I don't think they have anchovies, but you know what I mean. You can just add anything you want to the burger. And the fries are really good too. But yeah, burgers, and the smell of them too, that grilled smell, I just love that. That smell just clung to my shirt. It smelled so good. Yeah, I love those burgers. Oh, I forgot to mention, throughout most of the cruise, the first cruise and the second cruise, I drank lemonade most of the time. Of course, in the mornings I had to have my coffee, but throughout most of the day I drank lemonade. There's my classic picture, jeans and boots. Those are probably the same boots. My combat boots usually last 3 to 4 years. The current boots I have now I got in 2020. Wait a minute, that would mean these are the same boots. Oh no, this was 2019. I was thinking 2021. Okay, and then there's an app on the phone. So unlike my first cruise with Lindsay where we stuck around together the whole time, Neil, Mike, and I kind of went our own, you know, just did our own thing. So this is really something cool to have if you're just kind of splitting up and doing your own stuff, you know, on your own, is the Carnival Hub app. So I forgot to mention that when you leave port, you know, we completely lose our phone signal and Wi-Fi. You can get the Wi-Fi package if you want, and the phone package, but I chose not to. From what I heard, it was expensive and was kind of choppy on the first cruise. That's what I heard. It wasn't really that good, so I didn't get it. But with the Carnival Hub, what you can do is you can still text each other, you know. Neil, Mike, and I could all text each other as long as we all had the app downloaded. And also, it's got pretty much like the Fun Times magazine. It's got all the events in here. You just click on it, look at the events. You can actually mark certain events you want to go to, and it'll alert you when the event's coming up. So it's kind of cool. And it's got the temperature right here. It's also got a map. So if you were looking for a certain thing, like right here is deck 5, you could check any deck. Like deck 5, there's the Camel Club Casino, there's a bar called the Cherry on Top, there's the Fun Shops, which are the gift shops. I believe this is the Amber Palace Theater. So I mean, it's pretty cool. Anything you're looking for, you can just check it out. And there's the Skybox Sports Bar. There we are, getting ready to go out for the day. Yeah, the first 2 days on the cruise ship, I didn't even see Shanae. It was weird. So out of 250,000 people in New Orleans, we ran into each other. But out of the 4,000 people on the cruise ship, we didn't see each other until it was 2 days into the cruise. But she did say that she got sick. So, I mean, some people get motion sickness, and luckily I never had that problem. Now, on my first cruise, the ship was really steady. I didn't feel any movement at all. This cruise, though, in October's supposed to be hurricane season. We had some storms. The ship rocked quite a bit here and there. But, I mean, if you're one that gets seasick, you probably want to go on a cruise in January, not October. And I'd also recommend taking like Dramamine or something that would help with motion sickness, because I mean, you're going on a cruise, you don't want to get sick. And I will admit, there was one day when I did get sick on this cruise, but I think it was a combination of Mike went and bought me a beer, and I only drank half a can of beer, but I think it was the combination of the alcohol and the ship rocking. I got sick. I walked over to the side of the ship and I puked 3 times. After that I felt fine. So that was the only sickness I got. Here I got another burger, fries, and lemonade. Yeah, here's one night where it rained on deck 10. So here's our first stop, which was Wednesday in Jamaica. I really didn't care much for Jamaica. So we were docked right here. And we got off the ship. Okay, so we got off the ship and we had to go through this building, and right here's the tourist area. It is such a small area. So yeah, this is where we bought the shirts at. I went and got my hair braided here, and then we decided to go for a walk. We came out here, and yeah, looking down this road, there's like these 12 Jamaican guys that look like security guards. Look like security guard uniforms, but they were like shuttle drivers. They came up to us asking if we wanted to ride somewhere, and I really didn't feel safe because I looked behind me and there's like nobody else. It was just the 3 of us, and there's like 12 of them. And so I told Neil and Mike, you know, no, I don't feel safe with this guy. He said, I'll give you guys a ride for $10 to you know, some bar. And I told him, I said, no, I'm going back to the ship. Neil and Mike decided to go with them, and it turned out the guy ripped him off. First he told him it was a free ride, then he charged him money. He was supposed to come back and pick him up, he didn't, so they had to walk back to the ship, and it was just a miserable experience for them. But I mean, you know, we all make mistakes and learn from them. So yeah, I really wasn't too happy with Jamaica. But I mean, one thing you want to remember if you get off a cruise ship and you're exploring, you're in an area where you don't see any of your cruisers around, your fellow, you know, passengers. Just turn around and go back to where they are. It's best to stay. It'll be safe if you stay with a bit larger group. So I mean, you never know what might happen to some of these. You hear a lot of stories about like people getting mugged and robbed and stuff like that, and it's just not worth it. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy my time there. I did buy a shirt though. I bought a shot glass too. There was this girl back at work that was collecting shot glasses, and she asked me to buy her some. She said she'd give me money and so I could buy her some shot glasses because she'd probably never be at these places. Well, by the time I went, I hadn't run into her, so she didn't give me money, but I decided to surprise her and buy her some shot glasses anyway. I mean, they're pretty cheap and they're easy to find. I found one in New Orleans, I found one in Jamaica, I found one on the cruise ship, and our 2 other stops as well. There's a picture of the sun over the ocean. There's a guy's burger stand, closed at night, 9 p.m. So here we are the next day. This is Thursday. We went to Grand Cayman, Cayman Islands. This is probably my favorite stop. People were real friendly. They weren't trying to rip you off. They weren't annoying like the salesman in Mexico. This is one thing I found odd, was they got random chickens walking around on the sidewalks. Kind of like in North America, we might have squirrels, rabbits, or like robins, sparrows. They got chickens. There's one place that's got it like a gift shop. Walk down to Sharky's Bar. Went to the bar here. You ended up paying for like an hour of Wi-Fi just so he could update his fantasy football. So kind of cool. Got to check on home and everything, and you know, post some pictures on Facebook. I ended up getting onion rings here. There's a cool fountain. Here we are back on the ship. So this cruise we actually went to the restaurant more often, because I mean we really missed out on that first cruise. We didn't, Lindsay and I didn't, we only went to the restaurant one time. So yeah, I ordered salmon because I liked it so much in New Orleans, so they gave me salmon, but I didn't ask for these green lima beans or these yellow things or this bread or, you know, all this other stuff. It looked like it just fell off someone else's plate. I mean, they could have gave me 2 pieces of salmon. Okay, and there's Friday, a bunch of towel animals. Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention on Carnival Cruise Lines. There's a towel animal in your room, a different animal every day that they make out of towels. They fold them into animals. So here's Friday in Cozumel, Mexico. This is my second time in Cozumel. Neil went to an excursion on the beach. So, and at least we knew this was safe for him to go alone because there were other people on the cruise ship getting on the bus. So it was pretty safe. Mike and I just didn't feel like going to the beach. So we just kind of hung out in Cozumel a little bit and walked back to the ship. There's one of the hot tubs. There's some relaxation pods you can just hang out in, read books or something. There's the laundry room, which is extremely boring. I threw in a load of laundry because I mean at some point in the cruise you're going to want to wash your clothes. And yeah, I threw my clothes in the washer. I had to wait for them. And I don't want to leave my clothes unattended. Someone else might go to use it, and who knows, they might start throwing their clothes in and not realize mine was in there, and they take their clothes back out. They might pull some of mine out or leave some of theirs in there. So yeah, I stayed with my laundry, and then there's the dryer. I didn't wait. I got bored waiting, so I ended up taking my clothes out before they're completely dry. People just relaxing on the deck. There's Mike. And just like the last cruise, I slept good. Woke up when it was light out every single day except for that last day. I woke up when it was still early. Looked out the window, saw the lights in New Orleans, so I went up to deck 10 and took some pictures. This is one of my favorite pictures, just the sunlight and the lighting of the deck. Got to our airport very early again. This time we ordered a pizza, sat outside and ate it, and then we went inside. We actually found, when we got on board the flight, we found 3 seats. When we were walking down the aisle, we saw 3 seats to our very back of the plane on the left hand side, so it would have been the right hand side of the plane. 3 open seats, so I got the window seat. Got this really cool picture. There's the Dome Stadium. The hotel would be right. I'm not sure now. Maybe right over here somewhere. I don't know, but there we are. The flight. Oh, this is really cool. So I had my camera in one hand getting pictures of the landing in Chicago. I had my phone in the other hand recording a 5-minute video of the landing. You got the Navy Pier. There's the Sears Tower. There's Soldier Field. It's kind of cool seeing like landmarks like that. I wish we would have got a picture of the United Center, but that would have been like way up this way. Wrigley Field would be way up this way. Chicago White Sox ballpark, I'm not sure what it's called now. I still call it Comiskey Park, would be way down south here. The United Center might actually be in this picture, but it would be hard to see at night. I mean, Soldier Field was kind of easy to see because you could actually see inside the stadium. I know the United Center is just down the street from the Sears Tower. I mean, maybe a mile down the street. Not sure. Well, let's do this. Okay, you got the Navy Pier up here, you got there's Soldier Field. So you got right here Sears Tower, it says Willis Tower. Right here, there's the two big white poles on top. Now the United Center is right here. Comiskey Park, or whatever it's called now. Right here. Guaranteed Rate Field. I don't like the fact that they keep changing the name. I miss the old Comiskey Park name. Wrigley would be somewhere up here. Wrigley is the only professional stadium in Chicago I have not been to yet. Even though I grew up a White Sox fan, I would like to go to Wrigley one time. Maybe a Sox-Cubs game. Yeah, Wrigley's up north, but I'm not sure exactly where. I don't know, I'm not gonna sit there looking for it though. Yeah, I've already been going like an hour and a half on this video. I want to keep it within 2 hours. So there's our luggage. There we are leaving Chicago. Here's our third cruise. Okay, by the way, on our second cruise, I think Neil had the most fun. He was doing everything. He was going to the comedy clubs, he was going to the casino. He's pretty much going to all the events on board. Mike, on the other hand, seems to spend most of his time in his cabin watching TV. So he didn't really have a very good time. Me, I had, a good time as expected, but I think Neil had the most fun. I think Mike had the least amount of fun. So here's my third cruise. So, okay, a lot happened since between these two cruises. We had COVID going on. So we had a shutdown. I had a COVID shutdown at my workplace for 3 months. I was laid off. But I was collecting unemployment. I was actually getting paid more unemployment than I was working, slightly more. Well, then we went back to work and we were working. My workplace decided to switch our shifts from working Monday through Friday, 8 hours. They decided to have us, well, there's going to be 4 different shifts. I chose the shift Tuesday through Friday, 10-hour shift, first shift. There's also Tuesday through Friday, second shift, which is also 10 hours. And there'd be Saturday, Sunday, Monday shift, 12 hours, first shift and second shift. So, yeah, I chose Tuesday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. And a lot of employees did not like the change. So 130 employees quit. And to make matters worse was this change occurred in September. So over the next month, 130 people quit. Well, October is the busiest time of year at my workplace. So we were working Tuesday through Friday, 10-hour shifts. Then we had to start working overtime, 8 hours Saturdays and 8 hours Mondays. So we were working 56 hours a week. And that went on for 9 months. So yeah, my paychecks were double what they normally were. So by the time all that overtime was over, I had $15,000 saved up. I wasn't even trying to save money, it's just I didn't have time to spend it, and I was making a lot. So by 2021, I was talking to my friend Neil, and we decided to go on another cruise. And we went to a different cruise agency, or travel agency, because the old one shut down due to COVID. And this travel agent talked us into trying something other than Carnival, because I wanted to stick with Carnival, and she told us that we should try Princess Cruise Line. So, you know what, we're like, yeah, sure, we'll go ahead and try it. So here I am packing my bags. These are the 2 shirts I bought on my first and second cruise. First cruise, second cruise. And then also I found out there were formal nights on the Princess Cruise Line. So there's 2 nights a week. If you want to eat in the restaurant, you have to dress up in formal wear. So I mean, it could just be a button-up shirt and dress pants, but I thought if I'm going to dress up, I'm going to go all out. No, that's just the type I am. I don't like doing things halfway. So I decided to buy a suit, a tie. I actually bought 2 dress shirts, 2 ties, dress pants, a sports coat. And by this time I had my hair cut. You know, I got my hair cut in 2021. I was getting tired of the long hair blowing in the wind and all that. And you know, I've been growing it long for 20 years. It really hasn't been getting any longer. So I finally got it cut short. And we went in January once again. So this is another ship that left on a Saturday and got back on the following Saturday. So we drove down there on... This time we stayed in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which is closer than Chicago. That's another thing the travel agent talked us into. I would have preferred to go to Chicago, even though it's further away. It's just fun to be in Chicago, but I mean, it was 12 degrees out, so we really didn't spend much time outside. Next morning we had a complimentary breakfast. Cheese, sausage, or cheese, bacon, and egg, biscuits, and a coffee. And then we went to the airport, and our flight was canceled. So I think our flight was supposed to be 6:30, or was it 6 or 6:30 a.m. It was canceled. So we got to ride back to our hotel. The hotel was nothing special. We were on the first floor, and luckily the hotel let us keep a room a little bit longer. We called our travel agent, and she was able to hook us up with another flight at 3:30 p.m. So we stopped at a Subway to get something to eat. And this time we flew with American Airlines, which I didn't like the fact that they have assigned seating. I mean, it'd be okay if I had a window seat assigned, but here I am in the airport playing, or watching my own YouTube videos. By the way, they had COVID restrictions at the time. I had to wear a mask. One of the things is that you had to be vaccinated to go on a cruise at this time, so Neil and I were both vaccinated. You had to be tested before the cruise, like within 2 days, so that's Saturday before we left, or not Saturday. Oh, wait a minute, okay, this cruise ship left on a Sunday and got back on a Sunday. So we actually left on a Friday. That Friday before we left to Cedar Rapids, we went and got tested for COVID. We both tested negative, so we're good. And there's also mask mandates on board, which I didn't mind too bad because I had to wear a mask anyway at work 10 hours a day, which was terrible. So I mean, I could handle wearing it on a cruise here and there. You didn't have to wear it on the outdoor areas. You had to wear it going into restaurants, but you could take it off once you sat down at your table. You had to wear it in the hallways. You didn't have to wear it in your own cabin, of course. So our flight landed in Dallas, Texas. This is the first and only time I've been to Texas. But we didn't get to leave the airport because once we landed, we had to get on the subway here, an above ground subway. Go to another terminal to catch a different flight. And here's our hotel. This thing was amazing. The Hilton Embassy Suites in Fort Lauderdale. So let's see, where are we here? Right here. This thing was ginormous. It looked like a castle. Whoops. I think I dropped this. Oh, I guess I dropped this right in front, but yeah, really nice. Oh, by the way, when we got out, in the airport, we went down this escalator, and there was this guy, he was a chauffeur, holding up a sign with our names on it. I mean, we weren't expecting that. It was kind of cool. It almost made you feel like a celebrity or something. So we went down there, and the chauffeur had to wait for us to get our bags, and he was the typical chauffeur you'd see in a movie too. You know, no sense of humor, very serious, old guy. And we followed him to his car. He had a really nice car, leather seats and all, and he took us to the hotel. It was actually kind of cold in Florida. It was like 55 degrees, which is cold down there. Here we had a huge living room in our hotel room, and this huge bedroom, 2 huge beds. We had a balcony out here. And there I am out on the balcony. The balcony was pretty small. Here's the inside of the atrium. This is awesome. So the night before, we decided to order a pizza. We didn't get there till like 9 or 10 at night. It was like really late, so we really didn't have much time to spend in Florida. But yeah, that morning we went down to breakfast. So the night before, we ordered a pizza and ate it in the atrium. There was like nobody in there. It was kind of dark. Here it is in the daytime in the atrium. There's like a lot of people in there eating breakfast. I'm pretty sure this was another complimentary breakfast. So I got all that stuff, and Neil got that stuff. Let's just look at Fort Lauderdale. Okay, so we went walking from the hotel down to Walgreens. Little did we know that our cruise terminal and cruise ship was just right across the bridge here. Actually, not even across the bridge, it's right before crossing the bridge, right here. Now this right here is not the Caribbean Princess. This picture was taken on a different ship because they didn't have a miniature golf course on board. But if you go to this view, this is the Caribbean Princess right here. This was the ship I was on, and yeah, the bus dropped us off here too. But this ship right here, this is facing a different way. This picture was taken at another time. I'm not sure what. This is a princess ship, but I'm just not sure which one. So here we are inside the cruise terminal. We had to fill out all these informations, and instead of a card, like a card key, you actually have a travel medallion, which is like about the size of a bottle cap, and you wear it around your neck on a lanyard, which is kind of cool, and it's waterproof, so you can wear it in swimming pools or hot tubs. And what you do with it, when you get close to your room, your door automatically unlocks, which is kind of cool. You get like within maybe 5 to 10 feet of it, and all of a sudden it'll unlock. It shows your picture up there, because they take your picture at the cruise terminal. Once again, our beds were really close together. I tried moving this table over here and pushing this bed, but it turns out well, that was my plan, but it turns out the carpet is attached to this table, so I couldn't move it. So every time I'd get out of bed, I'd accidentally kick Neil's bed. We had a balcony on this. By the way, we were on deck 10 on this cruise ship. Our room was on deck 10. We had a balcony. This balcony wasn't as wide from here to here as the Carnival, but it was much roomier from hull to outward, so you had much more room to stretch your legs. Overall, I'd have to say I like the balcony on this ship better. Here's the travel medallion. It's got my name up here, but I blurred it out because I don't need like hundreds or thousands of people sending me friend requests on Facebook. But you can check out my YouTube channel on Facebook if you're into retro video games. Jay's Retro Video Games. I got a Facebook page. But right here, Caribbean Princess, and there's the date. You know what's crazy? Okay, so the last cruise I went on was with Neil. My ex-girlfriend Shanae went. Well, we boarded that ship on Neil's birthday. Neil and I boarded this ship on Shanae's birthday, January 23rd. So it'll be something if Neil and Shanae end up hanging out and going on a cruise on my birthday. But they just better not forget to invite me. So there's the travel medallion. Here's one of the restaurants in the Princess. So yeah, Princess cruise ship is just very different from Carnival. You know, the colors. It was much more colorful. This is like a lot of whites and silvers, blues. Oh, I forgot to mention, yeah, the second cruise, the culture wasn't as diverse as the first cruise. There were a lot of white people and black people, but that seemed to be it. There was like, you didn't see like the Japanese culture, or you didn't see like all these other like foreign language cultures. It was just kind of what you see here in North America. Princess Cruise Lines, though, on this ship, the culture was pretty much all old people. I felt like I was in a nursing home. There really weren't many people on board. There's the theater. Neil and I went and went to the comedy club here. But I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, with COVID going on, there really weren't many people cruising, so the ships were running at like third capacity. So we did get free upgrades though. We got a nicer room from what we were originally supposed to get, and we also got the free drink package. So yeah, I was trying out all these free drinks, and we also got the free Wi-Fi package, which was kind of nice to check into Facebook every now and then. Here's the swimming pool in the back of the ship. I found this really funny because the L is faded, so it looks like it says poo depth. I just kind of got that immature Beavis and Butthead type of sense of humor. So there's what happens when you get close. The door unlocks. It shows your picture up here, so that's pretty cool. And you can see I got much shorter hair here. I had a goatee at the time. And there's deck 7. This is kind of cool. There's deck 8. So deck 7 goes up the steps to deck 8. And this is a kind of cool area to look, but you'd think they'd put some chairs or benches here. There we are leaving Fort Lauderdale. So this one actually left from Fort Lauderdale. There I am, about to go to the hot tubs. You get these towels in your closet, or robes. So I'm wearing a robe to the hot tub. Got some chili cheese fries. And a chili cheese dog. And once again, we'll watch another football game. Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC playoffs. Okay, here's another app we had on our phone, which is pretty cool. So this one, now we didn't really need this to communicate because we had phone service, and I'm not sure about phone service, but we definitely had Wi-Fi, so we could communicate with each other on Messenger. But it was still cool that here we could locate each other on the ship. Like, let's say I'm looking for Neil, I just type in his name because we added each other's names to our phone, so I could just type in and find out exactly where he is and go find him if I wanted to. But another thing you could do with this app is you could order food. You can go to the menu, order food, and they'll bring it right to you. They locate you by your travel medallion. It's pretty cool. You could be in the hot tub. It'd be anywhere you could take your phone. I guess I wouldn't take my phone to the hot tub because it could get wet, but you could be sitting anywhere, order some food, and within 5-10 minutes they'll bring it right to you. I thought that was really cool. Drinks or food. Here we got a slice of pizza. The pizza on board is about the same as pizza on Carnival, I thought. Didn't really notice much of a difference. Although in the picture this pizza looks fresher. It's a cool picture of the back of the ship. So this ship actually had 4 pools, but they're smaller. It had one in the back, one in the front. There were like 2 in the middle. I don't really have a picture like I did of the Carnival ship. Here's deck 16. Yeah, right here's deck 16. So I'm up on deck 17. So I think the ship was taller than the Glory, much taller. But the width and length I don't think was too much bigger. There's a sanctuary which actually cost money to get into. Now I had all this extra cash on me on this cruise, but I just didn't see the need to spend it to go to the sanctuary. It's just a relaxation place. There's my classic picture of the boots and jeans. There's the buffet food, which doesn't look very appetizing in this picture. It seemed like Carnival had a better selection of food, but at the same time this was like right during COVID too. So I mean there might have been problems getting good food and all that. The bread I remember was rock hard. So here's one of the swimming pools. The hot tubs are very tiny on the ship. You can fit maybe 5 people in there. On the Glory you can fit probably like 10 or more people in their hot tubs. So I did go get a massage. It was like $200 for a night. Was it 99-minute massage or 100-minute massage or no, I think it was $199 for a 75-minute massage. I don't know, but I decided to get a massage just because I was there, and I do get massages here in my hometown. I wanted to kind of compare to see if the massages there were any better, and really wasn't. It was about the same. So, but I mean, I had all that extra money. It's like, and I'm on a cruise, why not? And the one thing I didn't like about the restaurants is there's 2 restaurants on board the Princess Cruise Line ships, and they both look the same. Now on Carnival's Glory, the Golden Restaurant and the Platinum Restaurant will look very different. So yeah, here's some of the alcoholic drinks I got at the Dirty Banana, which is a chocolate banana flavored drink with whipped cream on top. And Neil got something there. So our first stop was supposed to be in the Bahamas, but due to the weather it was too windy. We couldn't get off the ship because it's one of those islands where the ship can't dock, so you have to take a shuttle boat in, but it was too windy, so we had to skip that stop. But we did stop in St. Thomas, which is in the Virgin Islands. Took a shuttle bus. We decided to do the excursion, so it cost like $35 to go to the beach. And on the way to the beach, the bus stopped at the top of the hill where we could all get off for like 5 minutes to take pictures. And it was literally like 5 minutes. You don't have much time. Get back on, and we go to the beach. We just kind of hung out at the beach for a few hours till the shuttle bus came to pick us up. The burgers on the Princess are not nearly as good as Carnival's. They're okay, but kind of bland. Here's the next day. We're in St. Kitts, another part of the Virgin Islands. Once again, we went to the beach. started raining there, everyone went inside, but I was talking to this guy Siobhan that works there, and he said that when it rains there, it rains for like 10 or 15 minutes and stops, and that's the only rain they get for the day. Sure enough, it rained for like 10 or 15 minutes and stopped. Everyone came back out and went back to the beach. Neil and I just stood underneath the canopy and waited it out. Here we are in one of the little shopping areas of St. Kitts. I decided to try pineapple pizza because there's always a debate whether pineapple belongs on pizza or not. I mean, I'd eat it if I had to, if it was the only option, but it wouldn't be my first option. I mean, I ate it here because it's free. You know, food's all included, just like the other cruises. There's Joy. She was one of the servers up and brought me my drinks. Neil and I decided to get a picture of the sunset. There's behind the clouds. That's just something you gotta do when you're on a cruise ship. Get a picture of the sunset. Just because you're like on the ocean. It was much better doing laundry when you got Wi-Fi. See, I occasionally posted pictures during the cruise, but once I get back I post like 300 pictures all in the cruise albums. I took a picture of this guy because he looks like Rod Stewart from the back. So I just found that humorous. There's a bright blue ocean. This picture I thought was cool. We watched the movie Bohemian Rhapsody from the hot tub. Well, I watched half of it from the hot tub and started turning into a wrinkly prune, started looking like wrinkled like the rest of the passengers on the ship, so I got out of the hot tub. And just like the other two cruises, I woke up every single day at daytime, except for the very last day I woke up when it was nighttime. Got some pictures of Fort Lauderdale. It was really cold when we got back. It was like 40 degrees. And some of the passengers were saying that was like a record temperature in decades. I mean, 40 degrees isn't really that bad when you're in the Midwest, but if you're born and raised in Florida and you're not used to the 40 degrees, it's probably like really freezing. There's a bunch of luggages. So one of the options you got, which is the option I suggest, is when leaving, you can either leave your luggage there and they'll deliver it to the terminal for you, or you can take it with you. I always take it with me, you know, because I just take one luggage and one carry-on bag. My luggage has wheels, I just wheel it behind me. It's just so much more convenient. You don't have to wait for it, you don't have to worry about it getting thrown around or anything. So that's what I did. All 3 times I left the ship, I just took it with me and it was easy. We flew on Delta Airlines on the way back. They also have assigned seating, but I did get a window seat. We stopped in Atlanta. Okay, so no, I didn't get a window seat when we left Florida, but we stopped in Atlanta and I got a window seat on that flight. And this is what Atlanta looks like in January, nice and green. So this is the only time I was in Atlanta, Georgia too. I got some snacks on board. These Delta cookies were amazing. Taste really good. And that's what Iowa looks like in January. All ice and snow. Here we are back at the airport, picking up our luggage. Oh, I forgot to mention too, I bought a brand new car in 2020, right after my COVID layoff. So it was a 2020 Kia Forte, so I actually drove my own car this time. I traded in the Sunfire, got a $500 trade-in for it, and I sold the Firebird for $1,500. That's crazy because the Firebird had 260,000 miles on it. I was going to sell it to a co-worker for $300, but the car salesman who sold me my car told me you can get a lot more than that out of it. So he put it on Facebook Marketplace for me for $2,000. Some guy, within 24 hours, you know, he sent me a text message. I was at work. He said, "Hey, we got a buyer. He's offering $1,500." So I paid Tony, my car salesman, $200 commission. So I got $1,300 out of it. But I mean, that's still pretty good for having 260,000 miles on the car. I had the car for 19 years, though. A lot of memories. Here's my new car, my Kia Forte, just kind of the last picture in the album. So, yeah, about a 2-hour video. Now, I am going on a 4th cruise in exactly 3 months from today, October 21st, 2023. This time I'm going with Royal Caribbean Adventure of the Seas. I heard that Royal Caribbean is supposed to be the most luxurious of cruise ships, and so far I did watch a tour video on the ship I'm going on, and that thing does look massive compared to the ships I've been, the last cruises I've been on before. The ship I'm going on actually has an ice skating rink on board. It's got all kinds of fancy restaurants, like an Italian restaurant. It's got Chops Steakhouse. It's got a surf machine on board. So I'm thinking on this cruise I might actually do some, I'm still going to take pictures like normal, but I also might do some video clips actually on the cruise. And maybe when I get back home I'll put all those video clips into one video for a YouTube video. Now, I'm not going to make a habit of doing YouTube videos on cruise ships. I'm going to stick to retro video games. But, I mean, who knows, if this video gets a lot of views and a lot of comments, maybe I can go ahead and start a separate cruise channel. But just thought I'd do something different for a change. So if you're thinking about going on a cruise, hoping my pictures, my commentary might give you some ideas. But if I had to pick again between Carnival and Princess, I'd go with Carnival. Princess just wasn't for me. I mean, you get 2 single guys in their 40s. We don't want to look at a bunch of old women. It's like it felt like we're in a nursing home. Carnival has much more wide variety of age groups. So you got old and young, middle, pretty much everything. And Carnival's also usually what they call a beginner's cruise. So if you're going on your first cruise, then yeah, I'd probably go with Carnival. Just try to work your way from there. But I think Royal Caribbean is going to be another one that's a much wider variety. I guess I'll find out when I get there. But hope you enjoyed the cruise video. I hope I answered any questions. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will be sure to answer them. Unless I get like 2 million comments, I probably won't be able to keep up with them, but my videos usually don't get that many comments. So hope you liked the cruise video. If you're into retro video games, subscribe to my channel, because that's usually what it's about. I play Atari, NES, Super NES. So if you're a new time viewer, my subscribers pretty much already know what to expect. But I think that's about all there is. So see you in the next video.